It's Cosmo with the Daily Google News. Super excited about this. This is the face-off, the battle, the clash of titans that everybody's waiting for. Today we're going to talk PPC versus SEO, which one's definitively better. And in order to do that, I brought one of the best SEOs in the whole wide world, Jeremiah Smith, CEO of SimpleTiger. Jeremiah, thanks for being here.
Hey, thank you, man. And really, really kind words there. I don't know if I could live up to that, but we'll see.
No, I've talked to you before. I know you know what you're doing. Here's what's funny is I'm on your LinkedIn right now. First of all, why SimpleTiger? Where's the name come from?
It's kind of funny. It's so the simple part, I was really attracted to the idea of kind of 80-20 principle a long time ago. And I thought simple is a good way to kind of break down the 80-20 principle into a word that, is easy for people to hold on to. And then Tiger has all kinds of meanings. One of them emotionally is my dad always called me Tiger growing up. So it's just
That's awesome.
easy for me to throw around Tiger. But the other thing is that a tiger is the definition of 80-20. Like if you look at how a tiger lives their life, they'll chill and sleep 18 to 20 hours a day. And they get up and kill something, eat it. Very effective predator, very, very 80-20. And then they just go back to relaxing and just kind of living their lives. Apex predator. So I also thought that as a marketer, a tiger, when I say that word, the image comes to your mind. It's easy to hold on to. So people remember SimpleTiger pretty easily.
Dude, I love that. This is going to get more personal than maybe anybody wants to, but I created a mural for my sons.
Oh, cool.
This is my oldest boy. This is my youngest. But you'll notice with each of them, the pommel of their sword has an animal. So my eldest is an eagle, and my little guy is a tiger.
What? That's so cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I mean, dude, I spent way more time on this than I should have. And there's a ton of embedded symbolism here. There's sigils, dragons. You can see like a scroll. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But the tiger appealed to me for a lot of the reasons that you were mentioning. Like I was going to school and some of these animals, they used to pit baby tigers against full grown lions because tigers can like just mess stuff up.
Wow. That's so cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know you're such a talented artist too.
No, I ordered that on 99 Designs.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I just put together my wish list and somebody who actually knows art. Anyway,
good vision. Cool.
So you're doing SEO, which is funny, man. My digital marketing career started in SEO, and the joke that I make is every agency owner starts with SEO, but then we all get out of it because it's so hard.
Yeah,
it's so hard. But you stuck it out. Like you're one of the brave souls. Yeah,
I'm hard-headed, man. Yeah, for some reason I've been hanging in there, and just my hair's been turning more and more gray by the minute. So,
and you've been in business for 15 years.
Yeah, yep. Been doing this for 15 years. Yeah, SimpleTiger started off probably a lot like a lot of agencies start off, which is
I'll do whatever you want for whatever money you got. Yeah.
Business cards. I got your letterhead. I'll give you brochures. I'll design a website. I'll do a logo. I'll do whatever you want. Just pay me $50, And so it started off as that. And then I kind of stumbled into SEO after building a website for a client. And they were like, hey, website's awesome. We love it. We want it to show up in Google. And I was like, that's a good idea. Yeah, it should probably show up in Google. I'll go see it. Probably just submit a form and it's in Google. I had no idea back then.
Like the yellow pages.
Yeah, totally. So I looked into it and discovered this whole underlying world called SEO. And I was like, this is interesting. And so I started kind of learning how to do it. And I asked them, I was like, look, is it cool if I kind of learn how to do this for you and you just pay me like, a little while I'm doing that, but I'm going to focus all of my time and effort on doing it for your website. And they were like, yeah. So that was my first retainer client, but it was big enough to kind of support me at the time. I was, young and learning this. So my mom was actually their accountant. That's how I got there.
No way. That's awesome.
That's how I was able to get their business. What was cool was 6 months into doing SEO for them, I was actually able to talk to my mom and be like, hey, can you pull these accounts? These are the people that I know came in through the website, through SEO, because they filled out a form. Can you pull their accounts and just show me what kind of revenue we've gotten from those accounts? She pulled the revenue, and they went from 4 million to 6 million on those leads, and they were paying me not 2 million. They were paying me a very small amount of money to get that, and so I saw the value and the potential there. And in that moment, really, SimpleTiger kind of came into its own, where I was like, that is the essence of 80-20. They focused a small budget on SEO with me, dude learning how to do it. And it was wildly effective for their business, totally changed their business. So at that moment, I was like, that's it. I'm going all in on SEO. I'm going to cut out everything else. And
how long were you in business before you decided to niche down in SEO?
I would say probably maybe a year to a year and a half.
You got there quick.
Yes,
A lot of us take a lot longer, like you got there quick. Because niching. And so if you're watching this and you're an agency, by the way, if you haven't niched down, you're not going to scale. You're not going to be, what should I say? You can make money, but you're not going to be
efficiently.
Yes, that's exactly right. So I remember making way more money than my goal set was, but still being miserable because I'm like, this is so hard. Yeah.
I hated it. Yeah. That was probably the worst part in the SEO arena was actually what's funny is we were doing SEO back in those days for anyone who would come pay us to do SEO. And that was the next kind of learning stumbling block hurdle I had to get over, was kind of what you're talking about, niching down further. So
when did you do that? So a year into business, you niched down on SEO, and then how long until you niched down to SEO for SaaS?
Yeah. Okay. So it was actually a long time before we nailed down just SaaS. It was probably like 8 years, 7, 8 years before we said just SaaS. But it was over time, we had started focusing the niches down bit by bit to where we started doing really just like e-commerce, publishers, and SaaS. So that happened pretty quick. Not as quick as it should have, probably like 5 years in, 4 to 5 years in, we started focusing on just e-com, publishers, and SaaS. And we saw, okay, these 3 business models we can actively serve. And I kept applying the 80-20 principle, looking at like, where are most of our clients coming from? What are their markets? What are their industries? What are their business models? And that was eventually when I was just like, most of our happy clients are SaaS. Most of our case studies come from SaaS. The funnest engagements where we don't have to teach someone what SEO is, SaaS. Like, the rest of them, you kind of have to teach all that too. But the SaaS folks just kind of understood it and saw it as this is the hard part. They saw it as a necessary evil. And so that was my next challenge was, hey, show them that it's not evil. It's actually something that if you really grasp onto it, you can start a process that then you can feed into all your other marketing channels. And you won't think SEO is evil once you've gone down the rabbit hole of creating good content and stuff like that. So
I'm about to lob a grenade at SEO.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's a veiled grenade. I think SEO for SaaS is freaking brilliant because SaaS companies, generally speaking, are pretty unique. There's unique selling propositions. So as far as like in nailing down search terms, short and long tail, it's possible. But if you're talking like general dentistry, residential realty, honestly, you name the business, I feel like SEO is burned for so many industries because that USP doesn't exist. And it's near impossible to like really dive deep into high value content creation, key differentiators, the things that make SEO work. So I don't know. I'm not asking you to agree with that, but that's just been maybe my limiting belief is if you're in one of those businesses, it's a snake eating its own tail and you're going to have a really tough time playing that game.
I really agree, actually. I mean, it's funny. I agree where there are certain industries that I've actually served in the past that I would never go back and serve again, even if I started a totally new agency. If I'm talking to somebody who's like getting into that world, I'm like, be ready, because I've already fought some dragons in there and lost miserably. Not saying you can't win. You could totally win. I just don't know how.
Dude, I said those exact words. I'm like, you're probably smarter than me, but I could not make this work. So
Yeah, I have a friend actually who was telling me recently, he was like, SaaS is cool and everything, but it's so big and complicated. Why don't you do something simple for like plumbers or HVAC or something? And I'm like, I could probably kick butt in that world, but at the same time, that doesn't interest me one bit. And so I know that my level of engagement with that world is not going to work well. However, I have a friend who's in that world and he's killing it. Now, he doesn't just do SEO, but he does web design and general marketing and stuff, but for plumbing and HVAC. And he's crushing it because those guys really do need the help. And the people who invest in that world, like they dominate like cities and then states and then spread out throughout the country. It's like, wow, okay, it really worked for them,
Well, that's another good way to niche down too. You don't have to niche down on the service. You can niche down on the industry.
Right.
I'm going to say some things that I've said out loud about SEO, and then I want you to bat them down, or just let me know where my knowledge gaps are. So I've told clients, I mean, as recently as like last Friday, there's no such thing as recurring technical SEO. You do technical SEO one time, and then it's nothing but content creation and link building. How wrong am I?
Depends. Depends on the platform. That's my least favorite answer, by the way, is depends. I can't stand. I think that belongs as adult underwear, not anything else. But regardless, it really depends on the platform. Depends on what the client, in my case, is doing on their platform. So as you're adding content to the site, fantastic. Keep doing that. Focus on that. Focus 95% of your effort on that. But keep an eye on those technical issues because things can happen. For example, WordPress. WordPress, I love it. I'm a old school fanboy of WordPress. Used to build websites in WordPress all the time. We consistently see, though, that it requires updates, patches, plugins, security updates, this and that. And if you aren't actively doing those things, which are, to me, just core functionality of WordPress, that's not even technical SEO. But if you're not doing those things, what's going to happen is inevitably your site's going to slow down. You're going to get broken links. You're going to get accidentally altered title and meta descriptions because you did a plugin update and it wiped out everything you had. Like things like that suddenly become technical issues, all because you were just trying to maintain your website the way that you should be maintaining it. So there is platform dependency issues when it comes down to technical optimization. But generally, I do agree with you. You do a technical audit one time, you can only optimize it so much. You're really just kind of, what I like to say technical auditing is all about is really, imagine walking into a library and all the books are off the shelves and they're on the floor. And it's like a technical audit just puts the books back up on the shelves so they are findable. They're searchable by Google.
Dude, what a brilliant analogy that is.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that they're sorted and organized by category.
Right.
That's content strategy. And that's the next step that's a lot more involved. That doesn't mean that new books are being added to those categories. That doesn't mean that this library is special for a certain category, right? But that's where we get into the depths of SEO, where I really decided to focus most of my time and energy.
I love that. So a lot of, and I see this with some friends and some clients, they get a report from their SEO agency. And again, I'm not trying to cast shade, but I want to save small business owners from the charlatans. There are people that disagree with us. God bless those people if they're doing good work. But then there are people that just don't know what they're doing or they're lying. Yep. So let's go try to smother those people with a pillow.
Yeah.
I see people get a report that's like, oh, we tweaked this, this title, this meta description, this whatever, and that's all they're doing on a month-to-month basis. So what you're talking about, keeping the infrastructure strong, totally agree. If you add content, that's new content that needs, whatever technical audit. But as far as like these just recurring monthly website tweaks and then paying for that, that always to me struck me as like inoperable. It was a waste.
Yeah. Now you said always. I would agree that it nowadays is, but not always. I actually remember SEO when doing titles and meta descriptions.
That was necessary.
It was enough for some of my clients.
Dude, literally. It's funny because that's when I got out of SEO, is when that stopped working.
Ah, cool. Yeah. That's what turns off a lot of people who get into SEO. They're like, I did all the title tags, I did all the headings, I did all the
Well, it was the predictable work. I was like, I tweak this and then this happens. And when that stopped working, I was like, wait, you mean I have to be creative? I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when I said I had to be creative. I got to hire a lot of creative people because I could be creative, but not at SEO. I got to, a different area in the world for that. But yeah, so I mean, I really feel like technical audit stuff is like 20% of SEO, maybe in the best case scenario. In some situations, though, for example, you have a client come in with massive amount of 404s or site load time issues, and it's keeping them down. Like we had a client that's in the podcasting space, kind of an aggregator of podcast stuff, and they have millions of URLs, and the site was loading very slowly. And I was like, you guys have content out the wazoo. It's also contextually organized, structured properly. It looks beautiful. It's very engaging. It's like everything that people want in this space. But your technical issues are 99% of your issues.
Wow.
So for them, technical was massive, and it was an ongoing effort. They had to hire people whose full-time job is to maintain infrastructure and stability. So it depends on the business model.
Link building, asking for a friend. Let's say that I have a friend.
Talk dirty to me.
Yeah. Let's say that I have a friend who buys his links from like SEO Co or PosiRank or, what is it? The Hoth.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that that's technically a violation to Google's terms of service.
Sure.
I mean, are they ever going to catch us? Like, I'll ask this question a different way. How do you do link building?
Well, I kind of want to hit that in a backwards approach because I'm a big fan of philosophy, and I like presuppositional philosophy, which means
I'm so excited just based on the way you're setting this up. This is awesome.
Yeah. So you're bringing in assumptions and expecting everyone else to assume those same things before attacking a thing. That means that right away you've already started off with an unfair advantage because of the presupposition. If I allow you to carry that presupposition, now I'm not saying you, Qasim, are doing that. I'm saying Google is doing that, and Google does it because they say, look, you can't buy and sell links. on your site because it violates our terms of service. However, we're worth $1.76 trillion from selling links. Advertising, like that's how they made their money. So in my opinion, they're self-refutational in their terms. That's okay with me,
Brilliant.
but they're not going to convince me that they are on the ethical moral high ground and I'm not.
Yeah. I've never seen Google as having the moral high ground. I'm with you there,
right.
for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I can always get away with it, like justify it to my clients.
So then that's the next step is like, all right, well, we've done away with the moral and ethical issue of buying and selling links, which has been around long before Google. And they're not going to clean that up either, because good luck getting people to not link to each other and getting some kind of remuneration for it, But anyway, the next step then is how do we do that then in a way that does not trigger violations of terms and whatnot within Google? You can conceive of shady ways of doing that and ways of kind of sneaking around, which when I say shady ways, I do not mean going and paying for a link. I literally don't mean that. I think it's totally fine to do that. The largest media companies today, right now online, have lots of pay to play strategies going on just to get content on their platforms. I know because Forbes contacted me and said, can you pay us $1,400 a year to write whatever you want on our publication? It's like,
I did that, by the way.
I did too.
Yeah.
And then after a while,
I paid them their money, and just to say I was a Forbes published author is total vanity.
Same here. And that allows me to kind of throw a grenade into any stories about the ethics and the efficacy of modern journalism. I'm like, that's out the window with modern journalism. There's probably a time when things were a whole lot better, and I would love to get back to that to a degree, but at the same time, this is the world we're living in now. So how do we make sense of it? How do we make it work? Well, when it comes down to building links, the most important thing to me when doing this is still looking through the lens of the 80-20 principle. What is the smallest thing you can do to have the greatest impact? I've found that the more you invest in high quality content that really tells an informative story and really adds value to anyone reading it in a very target specific niche, the more likely that content is already going to appeal to anyone who would link to it anyway. So you're setting it up to be advantageous to the linker. So let's start there. That's most important. After you do that, reach out to publications and reach out to different websites that have content similar to yours, have an audience that's definitely similar to yours, use keywords similar to yours, things like that. And however you can get a link from that content back to your content, so long as you don't feel like you're violating your own code of ethics, go for it. I've already done away with the term of buying and selling links by showing that Google is the richest company in the world because of that. But that's how I think we do it, is if you need to pay for a link, pay for a link. It really ultimately, though, it usually comes down to something along the lines of providing valuable content to that publication that summarizes a lot of what you've got going on in the content piece you've created on your site that's far more robust, far more heavy. And then by giving them that piece of content, there's an exchange of just link back to this piece here and we're good. And a lot of people are happy to do that because they want content on their site.
Yeah. One of the best outreach emails I ever got from a link builder was, hey, you're linking to this site, and gave me the site that I was linking to, and then explained to me why that information was out of date. And, just, I want to make sure that your audience isn't being led somewhere that's in, and I was like, gosh, you kind of just saved me. You helped me there.
That's a good link builder.
No-brainer.
To me, that's a good link builder. That's a good in-house SEO strategy for your own website. If you've got somebody who's actively doing that, that's a really good way, especially if you've got a lot of links pouring into your site. You got a good opportunity to just kind of clean up the web there, which in my opinion helps Google. So it would really not be smart of them to go and discount some of those kinds of things.
SEO versus PPC, who wins?
Let's do it. Oh man, adult underwear. It depends.
Yeah.
I think really what if I were starting a business today, right now, and it wasn't an agency, it was any kind of business, especially a small business, certainly a small business, I would start with ads today, and I would not stop. I would continue building my ads, and I would focus on ads today, because I've got a business today, but I may not have a business tomorrow if I don't get revenue, if I don't get money. I'm probably not going to make it the next month, and I definitely won't make it to next year if I don't have some kind of a revenue stream happening. Ads can fix that for me immediately and take me from nothing to something pretty quick. SEO can move quick, but doesn't move quick for new entities, new sites, new businesses. That said, I would eventually segue into doing more SEO, invest more in SEO, but I wouldn't do it to a complete cancellation of PPC. I would just do it to a reduction of PPC spend to the point of maximum efficiency and efficacy. Again, I think that 80-20 principle applies. There's a ceiling in every industry. There's a ceiling to how much money you can make in any industry. I'm not saying it's a zero-sum game or anything like that. I just mean that there's a maximum market, a total addressable market that you can actually hit. First of all, that means there's a total addressable market of searchers actively searching a thing. That's going to be true for both PPC and SEO. So both can be maxed out, but I'm all for getting right up to that plateau and not going past it. So that's actually, one thing we're working with you guys for PPC for our own agency. And you guys are doing a heck of a job. And I've told Regina, I'm like, hey, just take us right up to that plateau and let's stop. And we've been scaling budget. We haven't hit a plateau yet. I'm going to keep doing that until we hit that plateau. And then I'm going to hover right there at maximum value. I want to spend the least amount of money and get the most leads I can. And we're going to hover right there with quality. The same is true with SEO. You can get to a point where you really don't need to continue paying so much for technical auditing and optimization and stuff like that. You're pouring out content on your site, but are you pouring out 4 articles a week and they're each low quality, or are you putting out like large content guides with chapters that are much more digestible and people really want to dig into to get a full solution? And then, are you linking up that content and making sure that it's actually getting promoted into the search engine? And then are you going back to your PPC and pointing ads at that content and promoting it on those networks because it has really high engagement and click-through rates once people click through it? And then the quality score of your account improves because you link to really good quality content instead of just landing pages. That is, like, to me, a synergy of the two worlds kind of coming together. But I think they have their different places and different times. So I can't really say one is definitely better than the other. I'm personally investing in both, but we do SEO, so I guess SEO wins.
So what's funny, man, is I don't disagree with you. If you ever get to a point to where SEO can replace PPC and you don't have to pay for your traffic anymore, like of course, That's the answer. I hate the question, and I get it all the time because I'm a PPC guy. People are like, oh, PPC versus SEO, and I'm like, water or food. You know what I mean? Like, what game are we playing here that they're not mutually exclusive?
It's kind of like running a internal combustion engine. Is it gas or air that you need? Well, you have to have both, and you have to have the right mix. Google has to be able to serve up ads in order to have the revenue to invest in a good algorithm to serve up organic content for you and me, so that when we Google stuff, good stuff comes up. So to me, that means you have to have both SEO and paid search. Google doesn't want to get rid of us from an SEO perspective. They want to reduce how much of an impact we have on their IP.
Right.
But they have to ultimately sell ads. And if the content in Google is not great, the people quit clicking on ads.
Jeremiah, where can people follow you?
Yeah, it's tough to follow me. I would follow SimpleTiger probably. I'm not as engaged socially as I probably should be given the space I'm in. But SimpleTiger.com is a good place to check us out. I actually wrote our SaaS SEO guide that's on there. So if anyone wants to check that out, it's totally free. And then you can always follow us on Twitter as well, just at SimpleTiger.
Awesome. This is your daily Google News. I shoot a video every day. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Jeremiah, thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Wait, before you go, I'm constantly looking for amazing people to come join our team. So if you're passionate about Google Ads and you're passionate about customer success, please go to soul8.com/apply. And we'd love to see you as a part of the Solutions 8 team. Also, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that we actually know what we're doing. And don't forget to subscribe. We shoot a video every single day, and I don't want you to miss out on any of it. Lastly, if you have questions, comments, concerns, confessions, or you just hate my face and my voice, go ahead and hit us up in the comments. We get very little human interaction, and even the heckling is something that I kind of get a kick out of. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being subscribers if you're a subscriber. Don't forget to apply if you're interested in working at Solutions 8. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.